This is Alan Gilman with Torah Bites for the week of February the 7th, 2026, the 20th of Shevat, 5786. The following is a revised version of a message originally posted the week of January the 26th, 2019, the 20th of Shevat, 5779. And it's entitled Greater, and I'm reading from Shemot, Exodus, chapter 18 and verse 11. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods. There are different kinds of knowing. In certain contexts, knowing God doesn't necessarily mean having a personal relationship with Him. For the Egyptians, to know the God of Israel is to say that they experienced the reality of His character and ability as a result of the incident of the Red Sea. Moses' father-in-law Jethro, on the other hand, uses the same word for knowing, yada, differently. He didn't experience God's power firsthand as the Egyptians did. Rather, he received this knowledge through Moses' retelling of the events. We read in Shemot, Exodus 18 and verse 8, Then Moses told his father-in-law all that the Lord had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, all the hardship that had come upon them in the way, and how the Lord had delivered them. Yet simply hearing the stories of what happened had a greater impact on him than the impact of what the Egyptians experienced had on them. Even though the Egyptians personally experienced reality of God's power and observed His favor extended to the Israelites, it made no lasting difference in their lives. Jethro, on the other hand, truly learned something, the realization that the Lord is greater than all gods. We don't know how far Jethro went with this knowledge. He was a priest of Midian, and yet following his realization, he brought offerings to God in fellowship with Aaron and the elders of Israel. This is followed by Moses receiving some helpful administrative advice from him. Then he returned home, which is the last we hear of him in the biblical record. Did he forsake the Midianite gods and establish an outpost of truth outside the community of Israel? We don't know. He's regarded as the chief prophet of the Druze religion, but there is no biblical support for this. Whatever the rest of his life looked like, we do have what he said. Through Moses, he came to know that the God of Israel is greater than all gods. For readers of the Bible, this is the most basic of truths. The God of Israel is God alone. Nothing or no one compares. In fact, other gods are not really gods, even though they may be called gods. In some cases, they are figments of people's imaginations. In other cases, they are demonic or natural forces that are given godlike status. Jethro's statement appears to reflect the common belief that other so-called gods did exist, yet none match the greatness of the God of Israel. Do you agree with him? In keeping with biblical truth, you may reject the notion of other lesser gods. Still, there are other personal and impersonal forces at work in the world that we encounter every day of our lives. We may or may not think of them as gods or any kind of entity whatsoever, but they do seek to assert power over us. We may call them circumstances and problems, or more positively, opportunities. Endless books have been written to help us overcome negative forces and leverage positive ones to prevent harm and achieve success. Based on how much time, energy, and money we spend engaging with these forces, I sometimes wonder whether we actually believe that God is truly greater. Depersonalizing the myriad forces in the world doesn't necessarily reduce their control over our lives. We need to ask who or what concerns us most in life. Is it money, relationships, our job situation? Maybe it's ourselves. As I've struggled to truly know God for who He is, I've often lamented over myself as being my greatest problem. That might even be biblical. Don't we have to put off our old nature, for example? Yes, but when we think that the remnants of ungodliness, or however we may express our issues, have the upper hand, then do we not deny Jethro's assertion that God is greater? Whether it be our own selves or any other forces, whenever we assert that they have more power and influence than the good and loving God of the Bible, then we not only ascribe godlike status to them, but we also elevate them above the one whom we claim to worship. And speaking of worship, focusing on those forces in the way we do, whether cowering under their threats or overly investing in them for our benefit, that's worship. We don't know what Jethro did with his realization that the Lord is greater than all gods. Perhaps he had a wonderful spiritual experience with Moses and company, and then, after going home, it was business as usual. But what about you and me? If we know that God is greater than every other force in life, is it going to be business as usual? The same old patterns, the same old fears, the same old tactics? Or are we going to make the appropriate adjustments and live life based on the truth that God is greater than all gods? For more messages like this, visit the Torah Bytes website at www.torahbytes.org. Email your comments and questions to comments@torahbytes.org. And you can follow us on X @TorahBytes. Until next time, this is Alan Gilman with Torah Bytes. Lehitraot.